If you know about shawarma, then you know it's juicy, it's delicious, and you can never have enough. So I'm gonna show you how you can make this at home. Wow. Whoa.
A big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Well, let's start with chicken thighs. Of course, it's got to be boneless and skinless. So remove everything that is still on the chicken thigh. The chicken bones are for the dog, or you can make a delicious soup out of that. But with this chicken skin, I got something special in mind. So I'm saving that, and now we're at seasoning. And I'll be using the Pitmaster X Deli seasoning. This is a seasoning that is very, very close to a more traditional shawarma seasoning. And it's absolutely perfect for what we're going to do. This is going to be super, super flavorful. And I got about 3 kilograms of chicken right here. And to that, I'm adding about 6 tablespoons of the deli seasoning. I'm also going to add the juice of 2 lemons. And that lemon juice is going to give you a fresh, summer, vibrant flavor. And at the same time, it's going to help this marinade break down the structure of the chicken. Of course, I gotta have some fresh garlic to go with that. About 3 cloves will do the job. Don't want to overpower it because I'll be adding more garlic later on. Now it's time to mix it all up. Make sure you get that garlic everywhere. You want it to stick, get in there. And with the marinade like this, you want to stick it in the fridge and leave it there for at least 4 hours. Or even better, you're going to leave it there overnight. And while we wait for that, we have the opportunity to prepare the rest of the ingredients. And among those is one of my favorites, and that is a brined red onion with sumac. If you don't know what spice sumac is, well, I'm going to show you. All right, so I'm just going to take 2 red onions, slice them real fine. The reason that I'm slicing them fine is because of the eating experience. The nicest thing you can have with pickled food is that it's crunchy, but it's not overwhelming. And then we're going to single out all of these rings. Don't worry if they break. That's actually more convenient if you're eating them. I'm gonna put that in a jar. The first ingredient that I'm going to show you is the sumac, which is a spice that brings a little bit of acidity to a dish. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of this. Then I'm going to add another tablespoon of the deli barbecue rub. I'm putting in the deli barbecue rub because the Pitmaster X seasoning also works as a brine. How that works is on the back of each jar. Now I'm going to put in all natural vinegar. I'm going to submerge the onions. Take into consideration that they'll turn soft later on. Put the lid on, and I'm gonna give this a good shake. This is not gonna go in the fridge, I'm gonna leave this on the countertop. Another ingredient that I like with my shawarma is garlic mayonnaise. Now you can have garlic sauce, you can have aioli, but this is just so easy to make and it tastes so freaking delicious. This is 1/3 cup of mayonnaise and I'm only gonna add 2 small garlic cloves to that. These small 2 garlic cloves are gonna do a lot of work. Mix that up. And then these 2 ingredients are going to do their job over time. Before we take the chicken out of the marinade, we got one more thing to do. And this is going to be the easiest bread you ever make. It's grill bread, at least that is what I'm calling it. But secretly it's one of the easiest and most famous types of bread you can make. It's based on a flatbread recipe and all you need to do is just get some self-raising flour out of a package. That's 500 grams. To that I'm going to add some French quark, which is basically like a Greek yogurt. That's what I'm looking for, like a heavy, rich and creamy yogurt. I'm going to start out with 250 grams, but I'm looking for 300 grams. However, I'm going to add that later on. Now I don't want this to get boring, so I got some parsley here and we're going to put some spices in this bread. So it's going to be a really fresh, vibrant, rich. You can go as coarse or as fine as you want. I'm just gonna go for like these little chunky bits. I got 1 clove of garlic. If you want, you can add more. But since I already have so much garlic in, I'm trying to stay civilized here. Thinking about everybody else that joined the party later on after we ate. Its flavor, I'm just gonna press it fine with the tip of my knife, turning it into a paste. Go, that goes in. And the last bit of seasoning that I'm gonna put in is some Texas barbecue seasoning. Now this is salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, and that's just going to help boost the flavors a little bit. I'm going to add half a tablespoon of that. Let's blend this up. When the dough becomes flaky, we're going to add more of that yogurt until we're actually turning it into a dough. Turns out I'm going to need the whole 500 grams of yogurt. And that's because it depends on how wet your yogurt is, how much moisture is in the yogurt, how thick it is. So if you have a strong and heavy Greek yogurt, it's going to take more yogurt. And once it starts turning into a dough, we got one more ingredient, and that's olive oil. That has to go in because this is grill bread. And that means that we're going to grill this bread and not bake it necessarily. To grill it, we need a little bit of oil everywhere in the dough, just to keep the whole thing nicely saturated with a little bit of fat, not too much, about 2 to 3 tablespoons, just to get that consistency right and to get it golden brown once we start grilling. The dough is starting to form and it's going to take another couple of minutes of kneading to get the dough in the right shape. We want the glutens to really stretch out. So I'm gonna give this about 5 to 10 more minutes of kneading. After about 5 minutes, you're gonna end up with this, which is a wet, sticky dough. And on top of that, I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil. And when I say a little bit, I really don't mean a little bit. I really mean about 3 to 4 tablespoons. I need it to be oily. You see, it's not sticking to my hands anymore. It's like a focaccia dough. Now that we have this beautiful bowl of grill bread dough, then I'm going to let it rest, ferment a little bit, and rise for about an hour or 2 hours. A little bit of cling film on top, and make sure you store it in a nice warm place, preferably around 27 degrees Celsius. The chicken is marinated. Oh, I don't even need to stick my nose in it. Wow. Oh, it smells so good. Now, this chicken needs to go on a skewer because we're going to put it on the rotisserie and we're going to rotate it like shawarma is supposed to be. I think the real meaning of shawarma is actually rotating. So that's kind of cool. Now you might be wondering, hold on, what are you doing? I'm just putting on a lemon. And the lemon is just to create a little bit of distance between the pins and the chicken. Because if I put the chicken here and then all the chicken from here up is all going to be, well, inaccessible for me and my knife once it's done. So now I'm just gonna put the lemon in. The lemon's gonna taste freaking amazing while it starts to grill. It might even deliver drops of flavor to the meat. And at the same time, it's creating space. There we go. And now you know why you needed so much of it. Because who's going to eat 3 kilograms of shawarma, right? So it also means you can just grill the chicken. Putting it on a rotisserie is just a little bit more fun. It does add a little bit more flavor since the meat is rotating around in its own juices. And the cool thing about chicken thighs now really shows off because you can see all the little bits of fat sitting on the outside of this rotisserie on the shawarma. And all that chicken fat's gonna render down for the first part of the cook. And it's those little details that make our shawarma better than anyone else's shawarma. Lemon on top on, well, close your eyes when you don't want it to squirt lemon juice in your eyes. That might ruin the whole thing. All right, secured. And now we are good to go on the barbecue. I'll be putting my rotisserie on the Napoleon grill. And what I love about this grill is that it has a back burner feature, which means I have heat coming from the side while the meat is just dripping away with juices. It's just going to be smooth sailing and crispy crusts. First thing to do is put the skewer on. There we go. Now let's switch the rotisserie on, and then I'm going to turn on the back burner. This is going to take a while for the chicken to get up to temperature and before it actually starts crispening up. So we're going to close the lid and give it about 20 to 30 minutes to get its first sear on. In the meantime, you and me are going to prepare our flatbreads. Just make sure you got some olive oil on your hands. That's just a little trick. And then roll out the dough so you can actually portion this. Now, for the portions, we're going to go with small portions because there's nothing worse to handle on a grill than a really large bread. Just want these about the same size. And all I'm gonna do is just roll them into a bowl, put them on my board, flatten them out, and roll them out with a rolling pin. See, the pin's not loaded with olive oil. Go. There we go, that's better. Once you get them nice, flat and round like this, then put them on a piece of aluminum foil and just continue with the process until you have all your grill breads nice and flattened out. I'm going to put a little bit more olive oil on them so that they're ready to hit the grill once we need them. A few drops will do the job. You don't want these to stick to the grill grates. That will be the worst case scenario. And for now, you're good. Good to go. Let's go. And look at this. Oh, baby. Oh, we got a little bit of crispening up on the outside. You can see the juices already from that rendered down fat from the chicken thighs. The meat is starting to cook. We're not there yet, but we're heading in the right direction. But that's not the reason for this intermezzo. I got something else. I've been boiling down the chicken skin, evaporating the moisture, and then having all of the chicken fat left over. And as a bonus, I got crispy chicken skin. So we're gonna put that to some good use. Let's open this up, get out my brush, and then I'm gonna use that chicken fat to put on the chicken. I'm gonna put the pan underneath so we can actually catch the fat falling down, back up again. I think we're gonna need about 10 more minutes for the first slice, but we're definitely heading in the right direction. It's time for phase 2 of the cook. This is going really well, but I need it to crispen up a little faster on the outside. We got that chicken cooked, not all the way through, but really a decent portion of the way through. I need that fire to be roaring so I can grill my bread. I can get a nice crust on the outside. We can slice it off. We're actually gonna start by cutting off those first little bits. Of course, I'm gonna catch those little chunky bits, those crispy bits. There we go, come on. And you know, the thing is, if you slice it off and put it in a sandwich and want to eat with your whole family, it's better to just catch it, put it in a tray like this, seal it off, leave it on the side of the barbecue or somewhere where it's nice and warm. In the meantime, you can continue to start grilling and you have a little batch ready to go for when everybody hits the table. Or if they're just standing around, can't wait any longer, just serve it out. That's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna grill our grill bread. And I'm just gonna throw that on the grill. Like, yay. Yeah. Of course, make sure that you check your grill bread. Let's close this up. And if you think it's going too fast, you're just gonna turn down the burners to the lowest settings. Things are starting to heat up. Check the bread. Oh, that's starting to look good. What I'm gonna do is, you can see it's still holding on to the aluminum foil, but I'm just gonna tap that off, get rid of that aluminum foil. That is starting to look good. The bottom of the bread is now getting to the place, see, that's where it starts to let go. The bottom of the bread is now starting to get cooked and the top is steamed. I also want the top to be grilled, so I'm going to take a little bit of that chicken fat. I'm going to grill this bread on the other side as well. Of course, we're going to do that for all the bread. A little bit of fat, top of it, upside down on the grill grate. Let's close the lid, let it continue to cook. Now let's stack up the sandwich because I am getting hungry. I'm gonna take that grilled bread. Look at it, by the way, it's super smooth, it's fantastic. Now, on top of that goes that garlic mayonnaise. And I must warn you, this is not garlic sauce. This is a lot more potent. Then I'm gonna come in with the sumac onions. And if you take a close look at these onions, you can see that they turned nice and soft, totally pink. They've taken on all of that flavor from the delicious deli rub together with a little bit of vinegar and sumac. Now, and with this you can go all in as much as you like because that acidity will break down the fat that we put in the chicken. Put that chicken on. Maybe a little squeeze from the grilled lemon. Oh yeah, there we go. To finish it off, I got some crackling from the chicken skin. Look at that. Juicy chicken, crackling chicken skin, pickled red onions, garlic mayonnaise, and homemade grilled barbecue bread. What more can you wish for? Isn't this a dish to die for? Isn't this just the coolest dish? I love that crackling. Listen to this. It's not chicharrones, chicken chicharrones. Now let's see how good this actually is when you put it all together. Ooh, a little bit of juices. No. No. And the funny thing is, the garlic isn't overpowering. Every bite just keeps getting better and better. The pickled onions together with the fatty chicken meat, wow. The rotisserie, the juiciness, it's all coming together, and then the crunch from the crispy skin. The recipe's on pitmasterx.com. If you're looking for the seasoning, you can buy it at shop.pitmasterx.com. And the rest, well, the rest history.
Mm.